Thank you very much, Catherine. A pleasant good afternoon to all webinar participants, both in India and in the Philippines. And I would like to thank Dr. Commander Arnab Das, the founder, director of the Maritime Research Center, for having invited me and my colleague, Joan Andrea Toledo, to this webinar. My initial knowledge about the Maritime Research Center is because of an excellent research output done by a research intern on underwater maritime domain awareness. So that was the time that I reached out to Commander Dr. Arnab Das and to Catherine. And they very kindly assisted me and gave me information on underwater maritime domain awareness. So I thank them for that. That is the beginning of this long partnership. I would say that India and the Philippines are approaching the golden age of our relationship. So the Philippines is both an archipelagic and a maritime nation, which relies on the stability of maritime commerce and the global trade. We have more than 6 million seafarers who enable global trade. They work in the different shipping sectors globally. We also have millions of families who form part of ocean dependent communities. Later on, my colleague, Joan Toledo, will tackle the pathways of ocean dependent, Filipino ocean dependent communities who traverse the world's waterways and oceans in order to carry out their livelihood. Thus, the two previous presentations really opened our knowledge that sustainable livelihoods is possible for ocean dependent communities as well as coastal communities. The Philippines also have 37,500 coastal barangays who rely on the sea for their livelihood. And many of our fishermen also are becoming more elderly. No? So that is a common problem for Southeast Asian maritime economies. The second point I'd like to highlight is that the maritime sector remains an important and integral part of the economies of India and the Philippines. Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. expressed his intention this January 2025 to elevate the ties between the Philippines and India bilateral relations amid the current geopolitical condition during his meeting with Indian Minister of State for External Affairs, Pabitra Margarita. The Philippines and India marked the 75th anniversary of our diplomatic relations last November 16, 2024. President Marcos remarked, and I quote, "The interactions between India and the Philippines have certainly increased in the past few years. And certainly, we would like to continue that closeness." Well, the plan to elevate the bilateral relations is very interesting because of geopolitical issues. Whereas we used to speak of Pacific or Asia Pacific, it's now the Indo Pacific. And that's why I think that the alliances and the partnerships that we make become more important. End of quote. That is what President Marcos told Minister Margarita during their meeting at Malacanang Palace. So briefly, Philippine trade with India has been consistently increasing. In 2023, total trade with India reached $3 billion, with exports valued at $1.1 billion and imports at almost $2 billion. India currently ranks as the Philippines' 15th top trading partner. Currently, the Philippines and India has 53 signed agreements in the fields of trade, investment, science and technology, maritime, air services, taxation, culture, energy, agriculture, and defense. The Philippine defense sector has always given a vote of confidence to the Indian defense industry. Primarily, the Philippines purchased the BrahMos missile. And because of the import and the usefulness of the BrahMos missile for the Philippines informed the Indonesian government that they too should purchase BrahMos missiles. Currently, there are talks for procurement of BrahMos missiles by the Indonesian government. Another area is that for 2025, the Philippine Armed Forces committed to spend $200 million to purchase another set of missiles, the Akash missiles from Bharat Limited Company of India. And for 2025, the Philippine Coast Guard has an existing budget of $100 million for maritime domain awareness. The partnership between maritime research and our ocean think tank, Indo-Pacific Alliance, we can help the Philippine Coast Guard, the Philippine National Police Maritime Group understand underwater maritime domain awareness so that in 2026, the Philippine Coast Guard, the Philippine National Police Maritime Group will set aside a program budget of $100 million for underwater maritime domain awareness, focusing on Indian technologies. That's why there are many opportunities for this sector, and the presentations that I have heard from the Maritime Research Center will empower Filipino, Indonesian, and Malaysian ocean-dependent communities. And this research is carried out by the excellent research team of the Maritime Research Center. In recent times, in 2017, the Philippines and India signed a memorandum of understanding on the defense industry and logistics cooperation. And last September 10, 2024, the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Indian Armed Forces held their 5th Joint Defense Cooperation Committee and the 3rd Service-to-Service meeting in Camp Aguinaldo, Quezon City, Philippines. So during both events, the senior military officers of the two respective governments expressed their firm devotion to a more robust defense cooperation. India is already a reliable supplier of defense products and technologies. Now, these missiles gives the Philippines more leverage and options in the ever-growing threat of conflict in the South China Sea. As we all know, the Philippines is strongly supportive of multilateralism and working within global institutions to support the international rules-based order. The Philippines strongly supports regional rules-based multilateralism and dispute resolution and management, more significantly through the ASEAN. So the ASEAN Blueprint reflects ASEAN to be a rules-based community of shared norms and values, including in maritime affairs. The promotion of the Indo-Pacific vision offers a contemporary framework for shaping and reinforcing the rules that will contribute to the regional order. Provided it is calibrated to the interests and expectations of nations across the region, it has the potential to generate a wider acceptance of the rules-based. The rules-based order refers to the body of rules, norms, and institutions that regulate the behavior and interactions of sovereign states and other actors of the global system. Thus, the rules-based order empowers states to interact with each other in a manner that maximizes cooperation while reducing the likelihood of conflict. The international order is increasingly under challenge by rising and authoritarian powers, including in the maritime domain. The rules-based order has been particularly important in establishing maritime order through the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. So here, as a way to expand Philippine-India defense relations, there needs to be more engagement and collaboration, particularly in the area of the underwater maritime domain awareness. This is a strategic alignment of security priorities between the two countries. To exemplify further, India, through the Maritime Research Center of Dr. Commander Arnab Das, a center dedicated to the expertise of underwater maritime domain awareness, can establish close linkages with the National Police College and also with ocean think tanks in Southeast Asia. So we emphasize the importance of capacity building linkages and the provision of fellowship training so as to empower Filipino maritime law enforcement officers with the appropriate knowledge and practical expertise in Indian indigenous technologies and best practices in managing underwater maritime domain awareness security threats. This kind of training is timely with the discovery of underwater Chinese drones within Philippine territory. Moreover, the Philippine Navy also detected the presence of a Russian submarine inside Philippine territorial waters. Given these new maritime security threats, Indian security expertise in the maritime sector and also in the underwater maritime domain awareness will be helpful to repel any Chinese maritime incursions within Philippine territory. Therefore, the Philippines needs to improve its deterrence capabilities through the use of AI and electronic warfare in the South China Sea, including the establishment of a special technologies department within the Philippine National Maritime Council. For the Philippines to be successful in doing that, we will need the help of our strong ally, the government of India, under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Now I will tackle the Look East policy of India. Southeast Asia holds a strategic importance due to its geographical proximity to India and its role as the gateway to the South China Sea. Southeast Asia is a crucial part of the Indo-Pacific's geopolitical framework, and India's growing relationship with the region is seen as a counterbalance to China's expanding economic and military influence. Therefore, in Modi 3.0, India aims to solidify its position as a reliable partner in the Indo-Pacific region. In a speech given by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he noted that Southeast Asia remains a strategic area for India's external engagement, stating that for India, no region receives as much attention as this Southeast Asia. Currently, India's trade with Southeast Asia is low compared to the Western and the Gulf countries. However, India-ASEAN trade has also massively grown from $2.9 billion in 1993 to $80 billion in 2018. And the trend is upward. There will be more trade between India and the ASEAN countries in the coming years, particularly in the defense sector, due to the evolving geopolitical security threats. Further, India has demonstrated to Southeast Asia that it is a reliable regional powerhouse by fostering greater transparency regarding its fast military modernization efforts and reaffirming the absence of any territorial ambitions in the region. Hence, India's accession to ASEAN norms of interaction, including the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation in 2003, reflected the country's peaceful intentions. India's involvement in the ASEAN Regional Forum in 1996 represents a historical phase, since this was the first time that India had opted to be part of a multilateral security forum, a radical departure from its usual practice of non-alignment, neutrality, and aversion to security alliances. Now here, India's concern on the maritime domain under the Modi government was revealed with the promotion of the Security and Growth for All region in 2015, cited the importance of reinforcing maritime connectivity and emphasizing the importance of the blue economy. India's leadership in the development of the blue economy, coastal communities, and ocean-dependent communities will be very helpful to the coastal communities, ocean-dependent communities of the entire Southeast Asia. So this focus was eastwards to include the Western Pacific, with ASEAN at the center of this space. Prime Minister Modi crafted the India-Pacific Oceans Initiative during the East Asian Summit as a way, in 2019, as a way to create a safe, secure, stable, prosperous, and sustainable maritime domain. With the ever-evolving maritime security threats, India's leadership, not only in the Indian Ocean region, but also in the South China Sea, will be strategic. That's why the title of my presentation is the India-Philippine Relations from Great to Strategic, because in the coming years, we have to be strategic. And Prime Minister Modi highlighted the need for a common rules-based order for the region that must equally apply to all individually, as well as to the global commons. And India believes in sovereignty and territorial integrity, as well as the equality of all nations, irrespective of size and strength. India has also placed particular emphasis on fostering closer ties with ASEAN member states. And India's strategic interests in the region have also deepened. India's position on the South China Sea had shifted from a cautious, neutral stance to one that has clearly articulated its support for the Philippines' sovereign maritime territorial claims, freedom of navigation, and maritime resource exploitation, in line with international law. Now, this perspective aligns India with Southeast Asian nations against unilateral actions by China, while also serving India's strategic interests by ensuring freedom of navigation and bolstering regional security. India's nuanced stance, informed by its own territorial tensions with China on its northern border, underscores its intent to deter unilateral and unlawful advances by China. So India-Philippine relations, in conclusion, has continued to deepen and strengthen gradually over the years. The strong economic relations, focusing on the vibrant trade between the two countries, has expanded to defense products and technologies. Overseas Filipino workers have also gone to India to support its healthcare and domestic sectors. In exchange, the Indian pharmaceutical companies have provided affordable medicines to the Philippines. As the Philippines faces Chinese coercive actions in the South China Sea, it can rely on India for enhanced maritime cooperation agreements in the form of underwater maritime domain awareness, partnerships, and technology exchange. Now, for this goal to come into fruition, the role of the Maritime Research Center under Commander and Dr. Arnab Das is essential. Thank you, and a pleasant good evening to all the webinar participants.